Hey everybody, it's Jackie with Jackie's Wreaths and Things, and today I'm going to show you how I put the mesh on a candy cane wreath base. I'm going to use 21-inch mesh with a 10-inch poof. So let's get started. I'm going to gather my mesh up, and then always when you do poofs, don't forget you need your mesh to come off the roll over the top of the roll, not underneath. So I'm going to drop it down to the side, get it out of my way. And to start on the candy cane form, I'm going to measure a 10-inch section of my mesh, and I'm going to fold it up. Now I'm going to start on the inside because it's easiest to start on the inside and come around the inside and then go the other way. Now because the frame is considerably closer together than any other frame, that's why I'm using a 10-inch poof. Also, it keeps the mesh closer to the frame, which holds the shape of the candy cane. So I'm going to flip the frame around now that I've done that, because it'll make it easier to come down the frame. There's a lot of people that love the simplicity of the candy canes for their decorations. So used to doing 12-inch poofs that it kind of throws me off sometimes to measure a 10-inch poof. When you get frames like this and it seems like there's like a pretty good gap between your ties, don't be afraid to move your ties. It is okay. When I look at the frames before I do them, I'll make the adjustments on the ties. So you get to the end of it, and now it's time to cross over to the other side. So you're going to measure 10 inches. Take it in your hand, and you're going to roll it up this way. And then tie it in. Gather your mesh back up. And then you're going to cross over to the other ties. Be careful, don't pull too tight, because this will roll over all the way. You don't want that. And then once again, you're going to measure a 10-inch poof. And then continue on up your frame. Now, this is the 24-inch frame. There is one that's 36 inches long. If you do the bigger candy cane, I would recommend a 12-inch poof because it is so large. So as you can see, the reason that I started on the inside is so that the frame is always on the outside and I'm not having to cross over to put the mesh on. So we've come to the end. So you're going to tie it in. And then once more. Measure that 10 inches. Fold it in. And then just cut it off. Now I do recommend, by all means, if you don't have great hand strength to tie these in and to finish them off, I definitely recommend using a zip tie to tie those in. And then the last thing you want to do is you want to poof these out. Now for the ends, you just kind of want to swap them. You don't want to poof them out too much on the end. But as you come down, you want to go between the ties to poof these out to fill the center. If you don't feel like it's going to stay, take this little poof, put it between the tie, and just go ahead and tie it in. That way, it'll cover your center. And then you won't have to go back and put a ruffle on it. Because for a project like this, because the frame is so close together, I'm only going to cut my ribbon 12 inches. So I don't feel the need to go back and put a ruffle in So like I said, I would just tie those in to keep the gap closed on the frame, and it'll keep your ties from rolling under as well. If I was doing a ruffle, I would do this as I did the ruffle. But as you can see, it's going to nicely keep that gap closed to just do that. Take your mesh, just tie it in. Once again, you don't want this too wide, so you're just going to kind of pull it out to where it's even, not fluff it out that much. And there you have it. That's how I put 21-inch mesh on the candy cane form. And we're gonna put some ribbon on our candy cane. These are the ribbon choices that I chose. Because this frame is so narrow, I cut my ribbon 12 inches. Believe it or not, for this frame, if you want to, you can cut your ribbon 10 inches. Because as you can see, even 12 inches is still pretty long. And I'm going to use 1.5 ribbons also because of how narrow the frame is. Because as you will see, it'll fill it up pretty good. I'm really loving this Chanel edge ribbon. It is like glorious. I'm also layering my ribbons a certain way. Now the reason I'm putting the red on top is because I want it to be the dominant side up as opposed to the stripe. That way when I go to add more stuff, it will show up better. Now the other reason, there's 18 ties on this frame. The reason that I cut all my ribbons the same is because the ribbons don't rotate like it does on a mesh frame, and you end up having too many of the identical ribbons going side by side. So this is actually a really good frame too if you want to use three ribbons to fill it out and not add anything else. You can use a 2.5 and two 1.5 to fill it out. And then you can just, with just using ribbon with the one 2.5 and two 1.5, you can just add a bow and have an inexpensive wreath. So if you don't plan on adding any goodies, I would cut your ribbons 10 inches also. Because, as I said, you can see that 12 inches, which is what I cut these, is plenty long. And as I said, there's 18 ties on this frame that I'm using. When I record these tutorials for y'all, I try my best to give you different ideas. And that's one of the biggest reasons that while I'm doing this, I could fast forward, you know, I could speed this up, but there's more information than just putting the ribbon on. Notice I'm crisscrossing the ribbon instead of doing the V. And once again, that's because of how narrow the frame is. The reason I'm doing that. And plus, we're not putting a sign on. We're not putting anything in the middle. And that's the other reason I'm crisscrossing it. So when I come back over here, when I crisscross my ribbon, I'm going to pay attention to, I want my red to really overlap that stripe kind of. I don't want red and red and stripe and stripe. So that's why I did one side at a time. See how that's like really, really green in there? We will break that up later. I wanted to use the chenille stem with the red and white to really keep the candy cane stripe effect going. Looking pretty neat, isn't it? So once again, you can cut your ribbon 12 inches or 10 inches. If you're not going to add any other goodies on this, you really need to cut your ribbon just 10 inches. But since we're going to add more goodies, I cut mine 12. So there's what we have for our candy cane so far. And I'm going to show you how to make a bow with ribbon tails using the Bow Genius. So the first thing you have to decide is how long you want your tails. If you're not totally sure, I would recommend making them a little bit longer than what you might think. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by doing a pinch and a twist, setting my ribbon down in there, and I'm going to pull my tail down. For this project, I'm going to use 7-inch loops. Because it's not that wide. For the bottom, I'm going to use 4 loops. And the reason I'm using 4 loops is to give the base of this a good foundation. To hold the other ribbons. You kind of want to build your bow as you go. So I'm always going to measure my tail first. And then as I go up, you want to make sure that your loops gradually get smaller. I do mine about 1 inch smaller as I go up. That way each ribbon that I've chosen kind of sticks out. And I'm going to do 4 loops again. So I'm going to put a solid in between to kind of break up the monotony. And I'm just going to do 1 loop of it. Because I'm just trying to break up some of the print color to do some more prints so that they kind of stand out. And I'm going to do one more 2.5 ribbon. Now, as I go up, I like for my tails to get shorter as I go. So I'm going to do 4 loops again with this ribbon. The one good thing about bow makers like these is it allows you to build as you go. And you can see exactly the kind of bow you're making. So if you're struggling like with putting colors together, this will help you see as you go. So with the 1.5 ribbon, I'm only going to use 2 of those, and I'm just going to do 1 loop on each side of the red. And then I'm going to finish it off with this one, only using 1 loop in the center. To bring your bow out, kind of tie your pipe cleaner that's going to hold your stack, and then pull your bow out. Now, if you don't have great hand strength to grip this and cinch it down, take a pipe cleaner, or not a pipe cleaner, but a zip tie, and then cinch it down. But the pipe cleaner will help you pull it out so that you can use a zip tie to tighten it down. Pull all your tails down to the bottom. Get your loops good and separated out. And then you have a beautiful bow made with the Bow Genius. And let's get this finished up. So with the candy cane, I really want to start by adding my bow to it. I feel like when you place a bow on a candy cane, it's like really important because you don't want to put it too far that you lose your shape right here. So if I put it here, you're losing your shape. So I want to come down a bit with it. And I'm going to go directly down through the frame, and where I've chosen, there's a crossbar that I can get and tie my bow to. And I'm just going to tie it on there and then wrap the leftover around the frame. So if there was any part of your bow that you didn't fluff out, if you're trying to fluff it by hand like I did, now would be the time you make any adjustments now that you've got your frame to hold it down. So I kind of really like the way that my bow looks without cutting any ribbon tails. So we're not going to do that to this one. So I want to cut down on some of the monotony of all of this. So I've pulled in a different kind of ribbon, but it still has a chenille edge to it. So I'm going to make a few hand bows to go in here. And I'm going to kind of scatter them a bit. So when I make hand bows, there's really no reason for you to get another chenille stem out or anything else like that. Because you just use your tie to tie it in. See how that's already going to cut down on some of the monotony? So I don't want my bow tails too long because I don't want them overtaking everything. So I'm kind of doing every other tie basically. That's just what I chose to do with mine. Isn't this ribbon gorgeous, y'all? Like I said, I really want that white edge of the Chanel ribbon to really keep that candy look. And then, I mean, I really like it because it has that snow look to it also. When you do the bows by hand, you just want to try to be consistent about the size. I'm going to jump all the way down here. Now, if you wanted to actually you could just do bows throughout the whole wreath instead of just ribbon tails. You know, just like this hand tied. So I'm going to come around here and I'm going to go in between where I had the bows before. So I've got one here, so I'm going to go right here and skip that tie. And then put one more right there. And then that's it. And then I'm going to turn the wreath so I can get to it better. So the last thing that I want to do to really break up a little bit more of some of the other monotony that's going on with the ribbon that I put in is I like to add a solid color so that the other colors like really jump out. Let me fix my ribbon here. That's me always fixing my ribbon, folks. So what I'm going to do to top this off is I have some ornaments, and I'm going to show you a really cool way to put these on. And we needed some dots. So what I'm going to do is I pulled the cap off, and I'm going to put them right above the bow. So I'm going to twist these ties together. I'm going to twist them together really, really good. And those ties are pretty thick, or I've got it bent. Always make sure that it's going to go, the ball's going to go down before you start putting hot glue on it. So the ball's not going to go down on that tie. So I'm going to push one tie out of the way, and then I'll just use one tie. So what I'm going to do is I've got my hot glue gun on low temp, and I'm going to shoot some glue in there. Of course, it's hollow, so you don't want to shoot too much. You want to try to stay at the tip. And that's still not wanting to go on. Try it one more time. There we go. Now we got it. So see how that ornament's really going to break that up? So now that we know it's only going to take one tie, I'm going to cut one of the ties off as I go. So I'm going to just pull the cap off, shoot some hot glue down in there. And slide that ornament all the way down on the tie. It also helps you cover the ties up if that's what you want to do. If the tie is like really, really long, you can go ahead and cut it off. And always make sure that when you put your hot glue on, there's a little bit around the brim of the ornament too, to stick down onto the tinsel tie also. Now, I would not recommend throwing away the top of these, because you might need them later on to create your own styrofoam ornaments. So you might need those caps to create that finished ornament look. So if you do not feel like you've broken up enough monotony, I'm going to show you one more trick to break up that monotony. And that would be to use a more solid ribbon. And And I'm not going to put ribbon tails on this at all. I'm just going to cut this 18 inches and loop it. You can also use flex tube to do the same thing. And see, that also helps break down on some of the monotony of maybe some of the stripes and whatnot. Kind of gives it what I call a solid anchor. So I'm cutting the ties off as I go. You can curl the ties down if you want to, but I just want to cut them off. And doing this also, because I cut my ribbon 12 inches, it also helps hold the ribbons down. So that's one of the reasons that I, kind of tell you, if you just want to add ribbon, cut it 10 inches, because then your ribbon's not so heavy and you're not going to need that extra little bit to hold it down. This ribbon, y'all, I got at my local Trees and Trends. And I'm here to tell y'all, it is thick. It's a felt ribbon, in case you're wondering. So I need 3 more pieces, so I'm going to go ahead and cut my 3 more pieces. That tie's not very long, so I'm going to twist it down a little bit instead of cutting it. And then we just need to smush in one more right here. So I know it's a lot of ribbon, but I showed you different stopping points for however you want to do your candy cane, and I gave you different examples of what you could do for your own. So I can't wait to see what y'all create with your candy cane. But here's mine. I hope y'all enjoyed this tutorial, and thank y'all so much for joining me. Bye, y'all.